Hello, Marcelo.
Hello, Petra. How are you?
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to meet
That's
you.
great. So you are in Rio at the moment.
Yes, exactly. But I'm actually based in Berlin. But I came to
Okay.
Rio about 2 to 3 weeks ago
Yeah.
to visit my family and to do some networking. But
Oh,
now, just right now, started a new lockdown here,
yeah.
which will take about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So
and
is that the fourth lockdown now that you have?
I'm sorry, is that what?
Is that the fourth lockdown in Rio?
Um,
Was
yes,
it the third?
I think this is, well, to be honest, I don't think the Brazilian government is dealing very well with the pandemic.
Oh, I see.
So I
Okay.
guess this might be the second only or the third,
Oh, okay. Oh, I
you
see.
know?
Okay.
Yes. So, and
So,
it's not really a full lockdown, but concerts are off and those
mm,
kind of things, huh?
okay. So you were for the lockdown in March in 2020, were you in Berlin then?
Yes, I was in Berlin, exactly.
Okay. So tell me a little bit how that affected you and how you felt at the time when the lockdown was announced.
Yes. Well, at the first moment, I really didn't think that the pandemic would take that long.
Mm.
I thought at the time, okay, maybe summer will be back like to normality. And at the first moment, I was working so much that I kind of thought, okay, just to, take it easy for a couple of weeks is also not a very bad idea. And I was actually at first moment, I was kind of relaxed with the situation for the first 2 to 3 weeks. So it didn't affect me on the negative way at first. And then I had the time to kind of take a look on on other sides of my music making, because I was just doing one concert after another. And but it was okay. The first one in March was still not very bad.
Okay. A lot of people say that they thought at that time like, "Ugh, okay, just a little time to relax and just take it slow again."
Yeah.
But of course, then it carried on, and nobody knew that we were going to be here a year after.
Yes.
So, uh, are you freelance?
Yes, I'm freelance. I was conducting an orchestra inside a cinema in Berlin, and we were doing lots of silent movies concert. We were doing a lot of concerts, but it was a freelancing situation. Yes.
Mm. So a lot of your projects were cancelled by then.
Yes, exactly. I remember it was March 13, I guess, when Germany announced the lockdown, and I had a concert on March 14, which was, of course,
Oh, mm.
canceled, and then some concerts in May, and yes, everything was canceled.
Did you also have that feeling that can this be real? You know, that uh, almost as if I'm not sure this is really happening.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I still have this feeling,
Yeah,
sometimes I
yeah,
really think about because we're already 1 year in it,
yeah, yeah,
and sometimes I just find myself thinking like this is like a movie, but it's not the way we
mm,
would really imagine it. It would any kind
yeah.
of, I mean,
Mhm.
but indeed, I was sometimes thinking kind of, oh my God, this is, we try to manage our expectations as well, because on one hand, we have to be realistic. It's a pretty um, hard health situation going on right now. On the other hand, we have our profession, we have our art, and we have to keep going. So it's kind of trying to find this balance. No, this
Mm.
is very difficult.
Um, I spoke to someone who told me that really in that time, in that initial time when the lockdown was announced, there was actually somebody from a conductor from the orchestra who passed away, and for the orchestra, then it completely felt like this is serious. You know, this is really they didn't even think. You know, they just knew that it was the right thing to do to stop. And I think we all have this this idea that, you know, really, is this really necessary until something like that happens, you know, until the reality really sets in.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
I find it interesting that as I kind of have these two bases in Germany as well, in Germany as well as in Brazil. And Germany, I guess, did in the beginning at least I kind of a good job, so to speak. Right now, maybe it's something different. But statistically speaking, so to speak, I know some people in Brazil who passed away, you know? Actually, two conductors in Brazil, you know? Two choral conductors, just by the beginning of the pandemic. So it was already on the beginning something like, okay, this is really close to everyone. uh, so
Mm.
it's yes, I
Yeah.
mean, the reality is just really, I mean, it's there. It's not something that is not. Some people sometimes they compare this to a war or something like that.
Mm.
That, but maybe in a war, I guess you can kind of fly away to somewhere else, you know, where the
Mm.
things going on. But it's not the case.
No, no,
It's
exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. So then as the time went on during the summer, did you have some concerts? Because there was a bit of a time over the summer where smaller concerts could happen, or online streaming or things like that. Did you have something
no,
going on? Nothing.
fortunately not, because of this of the regulations now of how many
Mm.
people you would allow to have in a concert hall. So it wasn't, financially speaking, make too much sense for in the case. No? So
Mm.
I don't have a concert. It's been 1 year practically.
Wow. And how do you keep motivated? And how do you keep? What do you do when you're not um, busy with rehearsing for concerts?
Yes. Well, I
Mm.
must say it changes all the time. No?
Mm.
I had my phase trying to keep up with my reading, and then I had my phase where I just really bored, and maybe watching Netflix or whatever. And then I had and I always try to keep going something of the professional side which can be done, like I did new photos, doing my website. I did a new arrangement for a movie, which takes some time. But we always have this feeling that, oh, I should have been done more during this time. But on the
Mm.
other hand, it's very important to really get the energy from the stage. No? And that's why also as a conductor, no, you have this problem that, well, you don't have an orchestra at home. No? So you can't really. I struggle with social media, so to speak, because I find it amazing how the instrumentalists they play and they do interesting stuff. And as a conductor, it's quite difficult to 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 find this kind of way of still doing your art
Mm.
as you don't have the possibility of really conducting an orchestra. No? But it's a mixture of moments when, of course, you're low and you think, oh my God, when this is over, I need the stage again. And but you try to manage the different aspects of
Mm.
your life.
Yeah, I always think of that about conductors, that, you know, there's no instrument you can pick up and just, you know, play and practice, or, you know, try a different repertoire or something. It's really, you need the orchestra.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, conducting is a very, I would say, is a very social way of making music, because you need other people, and the way you make music is about influencing other people how they make music, actually, because we don't sound anything when we're
Mm.
conducting.
Yeah.
So, and when you don't have people around you, we're not even talking about audience, no? We're talking about
Mm.
just musicians getting together to make music. No?
Yeah.
Yes, as a conductor, we're having a hard time.
Well, I photographed a lot of conductors in my project because
Hmm.
I'm very fascinated with conducting, because I find it very wonderful that you can bring all the sounds together. You know, it's like all these different sounds and it becomes one sound. That's how I see it.
Yes.
And this quite fascinates me, that, you know, that you are able to do that. Um, but tell me, how did you start with music? How
how did I
old were
start
you
with
when you
music?
first started with music? Yeah.
Um, I had a grandfather who played the piano sometimes, like on the bossa nova and Brazilian music and those kind of things on Sundays, on those lunches with the family. And I was always observing and thinking that, oh, this is so nice. But I was too young, and they were afraid that I would break the keyboard or those kind of
Oh,
things. But
okay.
at some
Mm.
point, I just started, just touching it and having the feeling about it. And then I let it go for a while. And then when I was 12, I started taking classes in playing saxophone.
Oh, okay. Mm.
And yes, and then since then, I didn't stop. I played saxophone as a hobby for a while. Then I changed to bass. And then when was the time to think about, okay, what you're going to do in university? I indeed started mechanical engineering. I did
Wow.
I did 2 to 3 months, I guess. And I
Mm.
remember my father telling me, you don't seem very happy doing that, because I was already teaching, I was playing bass professionally. And then I applied again for university, started studying composition. I wanted to be a kind of a jazz arranger, and this was my beginnings in music, was playing jazz actually. And then in music school, I did some classes in conducting, and I found it so fascinating about working with a lot of people at the same time with one objective in mind. Everyone, it's this kind of different as in a band or something like that. So yes, this is pretty much the beginning of it. And then
Mm.
after university in Rio, I moved to Germany. I wanted to continue my studies in conducting, and of course, Germany is the country of the orchestras, so to speak. You have so many different orchestras. And I moved to Germany about 13 years ago. And since then, I just lived 1 year in Wales for a master's study, and 1.5 years in Sao Paulo again. But now I'm
Oh,
trying to manage both countries, because
mm.
I would love really to do more work in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But you actually started late, relatively late, with the with the piano, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
was five,
And
6 years old, I was, playing football with my friends and
mm, mm,
playing with Lego or video games or anything that a
mm,
normal kid does. No? I started about with 11, 12. Indeed, it's not very early.
mm.
Yes.
But how are music in schools taught, art in schools in Brazil? Is it taught in schools, or how is the whole perception of art and artists in Brazil?
Yes. Right now, if I'm not wrong, I think it's an obligation. I think they're music for at least, I guess, until the age of 11 or something like
Mm.
that. But at my time, I didn't have this luck, actually. I didn't have music in school. I had what I had in one school was that every year there was 1 week where they would call the culture week. And I would do a lot of plays in theater as a just I was 11, 12, 13 years old. And I loved that. I love the thing about being on stage and having to memorize your speech, and this feeling, the adrenaline. So that's how I actually started in the art as well, so to speak. No? But music is a huge part of the Brazilian culture, so to speak, because of all the popular music, especially. Um, but unfortunately, I think it should have been taken more seriously. No? It's
Mm.
such an important humanistic value and also economic value, and it's such a huge thing. And yes, it's a shame that it's not taken as seriously as maybe in other countries.
Yeah, I'm talking to everybody and asking if they feel that the artists are valued. Do you have that feeling? Not valued necessarily financially in a financial aspect, but as a whole, that art and artists are valued. I
Yes,
mean, it would be probably different in Brazil than in Germany as well.
yes. I mean, um, I think people do value art and artists, but but I don't think they're really aware that art and artists is not only when you go to the concert. It's every day. when you listen to the radio, when you're watching TV, when you're putting some clothes on, when you're it's a design of your computer. So art is pretty much everywhere, and that thing, I think people are not aware of that. And of course, the artists, we are not. Maybe we're not very good at lobbyism or something like that, as other
Mm-hmm.
industries maybe are much better than we are. And even if we're economically speaking very, very big, and we would be strong in making our point, uh, we lack, I think, on being united. No? Um, you have the huge artists, the huge stars, which they do their job, and they have much more voice than other artists, which are kind of in the middle field. So it's difficult. Nah? It's a moment where, of course, science is pretty much in the foreground, so to speak. But people are using art the whole time to keep going in life. Nah?
Yeah.
So it's I don't think it's a black white answer. Kind of, oh, people don't value art or they do
Mm-hmm.
value art. It's kind of somewhere in between. It's just this awareness that art is part of our life as the air we breathe. It's just the whole time there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I agree with you. I think it's art and so people would appreciate, for example, music or the films that they watch on Netflix, but the artist, the fact that it, like you say now, so if there's an artist with a management behind him or a promotion behind him, then of course everybody's aware of this artist. But then there are artists also who don't have the um, promotional aspect behind them, where they do their thing and they are the artists. They don't have this, maybe this business sense or a way of marketing themselves or something like that. And uh, I'm wondering about this because I had an insight into this world of art by photographing artists in their windows. So I saw a different side of the artist that I usually would see on the stage, for example.
mhm.
And um, and I was wondering if that distance between audience and artist could be narrowed, and then that there's more um, like a personal side to the artist, that it's not just on stage in costume or in concert dress, but that we see a little bit behind the scenes, or a little bit about the person and the personality and the story.
Yes.
um, and that would make a better connection, because I wonder sometimes if people think, because the concert halls are usually wonderful and glamorous, and we dress up and go, and of course the orchestra looks spectacular, that we don't realize, but this is just part of the whole um, scene. It's not real. It's
Yes.
not really how they live and how they have to survive, and then
Yes.
when you when I hear things like, uh, somebody told me that while he was studying, that there's sometimes €2 in his wallet to buy food, and he's studying music, and he had to survive on that. Then I think this is not something I knew and I would thought about.
Hmm. Yes. I mean, music is a. I mean, not only music, but also theater and some other art forms. It's a. There's a lot of ritual in it. No? So it's the ritual of the concert, of the clothes you put in to go to the concert, and also the clothes that the artist put on to give the concert, and all these things. It's kind of there's a sense in that, no? To kind of there's some magic in it. No? It's
Yeah.
just it's a special moment, and this is actually, I think this is actually wonderful. And but of course, this is just I don't know if an artist gives 2 concerts a week, 3 concerts a week, which is a kind of a nice schedule. It's just 2, 3 evenings in the week. So what does he do all the other days in his life? No?
Mm.
And he's just a regular person. He has to pay his bills. He has to wash his clothes, and he has to, bring the car to the. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
as everyone is, no? And what I find is also interesting in the story is that the artists themselves, we're not alone in the performance situation. We have all the
Mm.
technicians,
Exactly.
the lighting, the clothes design, and the person selling tickets, the person selling food, and all these people, no, they all actually are together, and maybe that's one thing as a conductor. What I love about conducting is just you have so many different instruments, né, to play one music, né, one
Mm.
piece. And in the case of a theater, you have also so many different instruments, so to speak, so many different people, professions, and just to make this magic moment happen. No? And this is something amazing. But indeed, I mean, the social media, it's of course people are artists from all other forms, also pop artists and everyone, also athletes and all these people who have a kind of an aura of being special and glamorous the whole time. They are we're trying a way to kind of connect with the audience in another sense, because I think there's a connection also when you have the concerts and you have the performances, but this connection of, hey, look, I have to bring my dog out now, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is of course this is very nice actually,
Mm.
of this new time, so to speak.
Well, I've been following a pianist, Simon Mulligan. He's in New York, and he was so open and honest about the situation. And on his Facebook, he has these little soiree concerts that he posts every night. And he was so open and honest to say that he has to sell his house now, and that he's sitting in his living room playing on the piano and things like that. Um, and yeah, that I was quite intrigued, and of course never knew about him until this pandemic, where he's a concert pianist, but now he's playing in his living room. And I was wondering if this maybe also is an advantage of artists now being on social media in this sense, from their living rooms
Hmm.
maybe, or doing little collaborations together, that it's not formal, that it's make do with what they have at the moment, even if the sound is not perfect, but they just do it. What is your feeling about that they
Yes,
do
I
it
think.
online?
Yes, I mean, if you think about it, if we didn't have social media right now, um, these people would be maybe, I don't know, I'm just, maybe be just forgotten, so to speak. They would just, okay, I mean, there's some pianists somewhere who are not giving concerts, and there's no other way of watching, of hearing, listening to this person other than going to a concert. So you would be kind of a, I don't know, I can't even imagine. No?
Mm.
But I think it's amazing that people are trying new ways of doing, and I think it could be that even when we are back to again having concerts, that this thing of streaming and doing online concerts and all this thing, that we will go together, with the real thing. Of course, we are still. I mean, everything is very new. Everything came very surprisingly. We didn't have any time to prepare, and I'm not sure, but I think financially speaking, it's still difficult. So
Mm.
you can connect to the audience, you can do some lives and do online concerts, but I sense that the financial struggle is still very big. So because that's the part of the normal person behind the artist, he has to pay his bills. No?
Mm.
So okay, it's nice that you're doing online concerts and people are watching and giving you likes and all those things. This is really good. But the bills are coming. So
Mm.
we are still in the middle of it. Maybe in 1 or 2 years we'll have other experiences, and found a way to monetize it. So that's the word of the hour.
Yeah. I also spoke to a conductor who says that they predict that it will take about 5 years before we are back to having concerts, normal concerts. If I say normal, the new normal, where everybody can be in the concert hall and the orchestra. Do you think that is true?
It could be. The other day I was speaking with my mother, telling, "Hey, mama, when do you think we're going to supermarkets without masks again?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 4 years." It could be that. That could really be. So um, that's the thing. I don't know how we're gonna finance everything, because if the concert halls, they can only have 30-40% of the full capacity. This is not a business model that works, not on the old way. No? And if we have to wait 5 years, no? I hope he's wrong, but he could be right. He could be right. And until there, the scenario might have changed, of going to live concerts. I don't know how the cinemas are doing. And they're just releasing the new films online on streaming platforms, and just forgetting about the experience of go to the cinema. It's an open question, yes.
And then just back to the education. Do you think that we should, or artists should maybe speak more about the advantages of doing art, so that young children have that exposure, not to become artists necessarily, but now there are so much research that has been done on brain development, how the brain of musicians develop by playing music from a young age, and not only the musicians, but also people hearing music. And that, for example, with dance also, there has been also research done. And if you think of it that way, that it's not just about cultural development, but that it's also about physical development. And also in this time where we talk about a pandemic and we talk about health, and they're really looking into what can we do to prevent something like that, or what can we do to be, in health wise, to be immune against these viruses and things. But that we then start looking at the importance of art, because like you say, people now listen to music, and everybody, when you're depressed, or when you don't feel well, and you can switch on the radio and hear music. But that has an effect, that now, especially in the pandemic, that we talk about the importance of art and the importance of art education, so that we can also ensure the future for musicians, that there will be audiences who can appreciate art, and that we not change everything to just be happy that people come to the concert halls, but that people who really come to concerts come for the appreciation that of the music.
Yes, and it's a constant. Building new audiences and all those things. This is a constant work that has to be done year by year. There's never end to that, and it's the children, it's the parents of these children who have to be aware of the positive aspects of playing an instrument. And I find it interesting that sometimes people say, "Oh, but you can't really maybe force a child to learn an instrument." Oh, it's not about forcing. You send him to school. Maybe he hates school, but he goes and he has to learn math and languages and all those things. So music is just part of our ways of communicating and expressing ourselves. No? And yes, it's a work in progress, and it always will be. And yeah, some places do better than others, but um, it's a complex issue for sure, because music has so many different influences us in so many different aspects. Nah? You talked about culture and about biology and economically speaking, and it's a very complex field. It's not just, oh, I just came home and I want to whine and relax and listen to some music. This is amazing. There's nothing wrong about it, but it's just so many things also together with that. No?
Yeah. Marcelo, tell me, was there something you did that was interesting, or just a hobby or something else except music that you did during this lockdown? Did you cook or bake or paint or?
Well, I cooked more than I used to do.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And that started, I mean, trying to be more aware of nature.
Oh, yeah.
And my girlfriend, my partner, she has a beautiful hobby. She's an ornithologist.
She's a
So
what?
ornithologist. She
Yeah.
does a bird watching, and
Ah, okay.
so
Yeah.
with music, and you have composers such as
Wow.
Messiaen and all those things. So it's we
Amazing.
yes, we used to go for long walks in Berlin, in Tiergarten or some other places. And now that I'm much more aware of what's going on, of what, oh,
Mm,
look at that, I've never seen that, you know?
mm,
And this is something that I now have in me, because I just had the time to be more aware of the moment, you know?
mm.
But I gained weight, then I lost weight. So you just, yes, it's ups and downs, so to speak.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's interesting. I've never, okay, you're the first one watching birds now that I've spoken to. Yeah.
Yes,
That's, yeah. Mm.
even my last name Falcão.
Mm.
It's a falcon. It's a bird, and I wasn't.
Oh,
It's just my name. I wasn't
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Why? No?
yeah.
And but through her, I really developed more this passion about the sounds of nature, about
Mm.
all the animals and the importance. Nowadays, for instance, fireworks is something that I kind of abhor nowadays, so to speak, because I
Oh,
just
okay.
saw, like how the birds get desperate
Mm,
when without those explosions, especially in Berlin,
mm,
the New Year's in Berlin, even though this year was pandemic and it was much more laid back, it was still so loud that I saw,
mm,
how the birds in the middle of the night, they're just awakened by this kind of war zone atmosphere, and they are
mm,
desperate, no? And it's a shame. I think
mm.
I don't know. Being aware of our nature, around us, it's something that kind of relax me and connects me with the moment, and it's been very, very good.
Mm. Well, there's a line that I can draw now to also to the artist, because now you're more aware of birds and you know exactly what upsets them, and you are more aware of them. But this is the same that we could do with artists. When we become more aware of art and more aware of the artists, then of course we will have more appreciation and more understanding also, in that sense. So
Indeed, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, of course.
So
Hmm.
we should start artist watching and not just bird watching.
Yes, yes. As soon as it's possible again, we'll
Yeah,
all be there, and yes,
yeah,
to understand, no, how
yeah,
things work, how the artists are, and
exactly. Yeah,
yes, it's a
yeah,
constant work. Yeah.
that's true. So, but tell me, what is your wish for when this is all over?
Oh, never thought about that.
Mm.
I was just wishing that it's over.
Oh, okay.
What's the wish? Um, I don't know, Petra. To be honest, I guess I wish we are, as we're talking about, bird watching, and be more aware of the moment, no? And just leave the automatic way of doing things little bit by side, and be more conscious about environment, and uh, people, how people are struggling in their fields, and the importance of art, and not only the huge opera house, but the street artists. And yes, I guess I would say awareness, no? uh,
Mm.
of the of what's going on around us.
Mm. Do you think artists, do you think the public and the audiences will want to go back to live concerts and would be eager to go to concerts, and maybe new audiences would go because of the fact that they weren't able to go?
I think so, yes, to be
Mm.
honest. Because I mean, the whole time you listen, I mean, at least in Berlin sometimes, and here in Rio as well, people are like, oh, here, there's this party going on. It's illegal, and they have to, go there. And so
Mm.
we are social animals, no? So we need people, and we need energy. And I would say I'm pretty sure that when it's allowed again, it will be full.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that wish for and that idea.
Yes. I hope I'm right in the sense.
Well, I've asked people their wishes because I think the more wishes we speak, the more possibilities there are that it comes true.
Yes.
So yeah. So and I think also that artists are able to find solutions in this time, because I think your brains are very creative, and you have the skills to find solutions because of the way you do it. And also I think you are very equipped to deal with this time, because you know how to deal with disappointment, you know how to overcome obstacles, and of course you know how to persevere and to motivate yourself. So all these skills you have developed, that makes you actually, I think, the best equipped of everybody for this time.
Mhm.
And this is something that I really think that people should talk about and think about, and that this could also be the advantage of pursuing some art for children, so that they also in life have these skills and have this ability to do this, that we don't just think computer games or maths or science will be the things that equip them for life, but that these skills would be to their advantage, definitely.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
as you're saying, exactly this artistic skills, when everything involved in it, the creativity, the ability to deal with disappointment, the ability to persevere. This is useful, so to speak, for everyone. And actually, it's a shame, no? That it's
Mm.
people. This is something to be aware of, indeed. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Marcelo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Petra. Thank you,
And it's
and
it's
congratulations on your
afternoon.
project.
It's afternoon now in Rio, so you're going to have a lovely lunch, I hope. That you
Exactly.
cook yourself.
No, right now my mother did.
Oh, okay.
a nice, very nice lunch made from my
Oh,
mother. It's
but
the
that's
privilege.
that's that's a mother's privilege to do
Exactly.
that for you. Yeah. Um, my son lives with me, and my biggest joy is when he calls me before he comes home and says if I can make him French toast,
Yeah.
because I love making French toast and he loves eating it. So that's always my treat to do that for him.
Oh yes, this is
Um,
beautiful.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Petra. Have a nice
Okay.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.